G'day guys and welcome back today to the Freo Faithful channel. We are doing another episode of the OPPO View St Kilda edition. We had Jakey on last time, but I've got my Wattle Park teammate, Cardman22, one of the biggest boys in the space. How you doing, lad?
Yeah, very well. Drewz, thank you for getting me on. I'm not sort of the one that normally gets on for these previews because obviously you had Jake on earlier. He's the St Kilda guru, but I'm glad to be on for the second edition of the Freo v Saints battle for the 2025. We're one up so far, so we can go two up on the weekend.
Yeah, well, I couldn't get Jake on after the way the game went last time, Cardi. He was going in all confident into that game, and I was thinking, this bloke has no idea who these Saints are coming up against. And he had every idea, because you absolutely pumped us and embarrassed us. I've never left a game as early as I did that game. That was a 3/4 time exit, Cardi. What happened in that game? Because your Saints looked unreal that day.
Well, for starters, if you're leaving at 3/4 time, you have to always stick it out to the end, mate. So that's pretty poor. And to be honest, leading into the game, like Freo, I think they were in some decent form. If I'm not mistaken, the week before that, they got a good win. I can't remember against who, but I'm pretty sure they were off a win.
It was against the Crows?
Yeah, it may have been. Or it may have been that week. I think you're right. And then, yeah, honestly, I think we came off a loss. It might have been against Brisbane. So honestly, I wasn't going into it with much hope. It was not a game you'd really wanted to have on a Friday, especially that first half. But yeah, after that, it was just a domination really from the second half onwards. Ross Lyon certainly got the best out of the players tactically. Sarong and Brayshaw, no impact. Really no impact from the forwards, I noticed as well. And Cooper Sharman, that was his game where he sort of not really broke out, but had a really big say. He was huge, marking everything in that last quarter. Enjoyed that one, but haven't really enjoyed too much of St Kilda's game since that, for sure.
Yeah, well, we kicked 2 goals 3 in 3/4 of football. So when you say you got to stick it out to the end, Cardi, I've sat through pouring down rain in the deepest, darkest depth of Ross Lyon coaching at my club. And I don't know, I had a Wattle Park game at 9:20 the next morning. And I was like, these mugs haven't even shown up. So I'm not going to waste another half an hour of my life and I can beat the traffic. There was only about 8,000 people at Marvel that game.
I was going to say, you beat the traffic. There's not much to beat in the first place. You're playing the Saints and you're playing Collingwood.
Yeah, no, I'm happy that this game's at Optus. But you guys have, you've beaten us at Optus before when we've gone in favourites. I think it was early 2022 you beat us there.
That was a good win.
Yeah, and like you said, Sarong and Brayshaw didn't really show up in the last time we played against you. Marcus Windhager has been a massive talking point in the football media this week, tagging Nick Dacos, who kicked 30 and got a goal, but he's obviously going to go to Sarong again because it worked last time. How do you think the midfields will match up, and do you think that Freo can actually show up this time, and what will that look like if our two sort of ideal, optimal midfields show up and face off?
Yeah, right. Well, obviously you would expect Windhager to go onto Sarong because I feel like every time that a player has successfully tagged Sarong, it seems like without Sarong playing well, normally the Dockers aren't really, I don't know if it's been the case the last 4 or 5 weeks because obviously you got Brayshaw, but both had a really, just quiet game. I think they both recorded under 20 disposals. On paper, Freo's midfield obviously clears the Saints. I think we might bring in maybe a Garcia or even Boxall or both because they bring a bit of toughness in the middle, which we probably need because you guys have a fairly good inside midfield, I would say. So I think you guys probably get the one-up in the midfield battle, but last time that wasn't the case, and that's why I think maybe we could do it again potentially.
Yeah, your guys will take a lot of confidence from that last game for sure. Looking at the Saints mix in the last little bit, you haven't been in the best form. You've sort of been up and down. You had a good win in Alice Springs against Melbourne, but other than that, it's been pretty dire. Something that I've noticed is you've got this weird mix of youth and experience. You've got some really young, exciting players like Darcy Wilson, Trevelyan, Taru, who debuted on the weekend. You mentioned Boxall there, Hugo Garcia, Lance Collard played a lot earlier in the season. And then sort of in the past month or so, you've somewhat reverted back to those older guys. So what do you like to see right now for St Kilda? And how do you see your youth lining up against Freo? Who can we expect to impress us?
Well, I think at this stage of the season, the season's sort of out of reach now. We can't really do much making finals. I'm not too disappointed now from if we just blood the youth, and we don't really need to be playing the likes of like Zach Jones, who's been in and around the side. He isn't really providing much. Someone like a Brad Hill, who's getting... I just feel like his disposal efficiency and his decision making is too slow. He's getting slower as well on the to keeping up with the pace of the game. So someone like him, he's been... I don't remember the last time he's been dropped, but I would like to see... as I said before, like a Garcia. I know they play different roles, but like just blood the youth. That's what I want to see. It was really disappointing as well to see Philippou get injured before the game, because he was someone I was looking forward to seeing get back into the middle. Would have been a good game for him against Collingwood, because he'd be that sort of player that could thrive off the big time, prime time sort of game. So yeah, I think we just want to see as much as we can from our young guns in the next 8 or 9 weeks. Hunter Clark's been back in the team and he's actually been doing all right. So get more minutes into him as well. But yeah, I'm not really one that wants to see the old guys not have a massive impact. I'd rather see the young guys have potentially less of an impact, but see more development.
Yeah, well said. I like that. I like a lot of your young players, particularly Darcy Wilson. It's a shame about Philippou getting injured against the Pies, so he's definitely out for a sustained period. Is he not playing against Freo?
Is this Philippou?
Yeah.
I believe so. I haven't heard a confirmed set time frame for his return, but it's a weird one, because he was injured for the first bit of the season. He came into the team against Carlton, played a couple games, and Melbourne he was subbed out first quarter in the game with the same injury that he re-injured, like the calf for the Freo game. Not Freo game, so the week before the Collingwood game. So yeah, it's disappointing. Like, I don't know, it's poor injury management, you would have thought. Like, yeah, I don't know. Disappointing.
Yeah. No, it is a tough one when you've got a player that, he'd be one of your most exciting young players, similar to, he's not really a young player anymore, but Max King. Like, you want to see him back out there, but you sort of force him back, and sometimes patience is the key with these types of players. You mentioned Brad Hill there. This is the Brad Hill Cup.
It is.
In the back end of his Freo career, he was frustrating as well. Like, he wasn't a loss for us when he left to go join St Kilda. Just frustrating with the ball in hands at times. He's not tough. If he gets on the outside, he's got that pace. But...
Yeah, he's a definitely more of an outside player, and he can do some good things with the footy. Like, I remember last week or against the Bulldogs, he was like running into a goal, kicked it from the 50, and I'm like, I just expected him to just do something stupid with it. He actually kicked the goal, which surprised my dad and I, but I don't see enough of that from Hill as the late, which, look, I don't want to rip into any plays, but he's someone who I think maybe give him a spell for one of the younger guys and give him a bit more time in the middle.
Yeah, he might be one of Ross Lyon's teacher's pets. He did kick the first goal of the game last time we played, so maybe he's up and about for this Freo clash once again.
Maybe we keep him in just to play. He maybe knows a bit about Optus Stadium and against his former side, so who knows?
Yeah, might have a bit of intel there for sure. Hunter Clark back in, that's massive. I know he's sort of been a player that has shown glimpses of his potential and probably hasn't lived up to the hype as a first-round pick, but nevertheless has a lot of talent and adds to that running defence that you guys have in Isaiah Wanganeen-Miller and Jack Sinclair, who are in all-Australian contention. Cal Wilkie, probably one of the best fullbacks in the league, if not the best, a very underrated player by the larger sort of AFL community and the casual, but he put on a clinic against our forwards last time out. So, yeah, that defence is really strong, and that's a feature of Ross Lyon's sort of footballing philosophy. What have you made of your defensive makeup in terms of the guys that can lock down and then the guys that can rebound, and what do you think the matchups will be?
Defensive structure sort of been a bit on the weaker side of things ever since the departure of Battle this season and Howard now being out. So we've brought in Taru last week. He looked all right. I think we keep him for the rest of the year. We want to, he's a top 10 pick. So I think just keep playing games into him. I'm not sure the opposition he'll be on. Maybe a Voss, like a third tall. Then you've got Caminiti there, who I think he's growing into his position as a defender. Like, he's a bit of a, sometimes when he has the footy, he can get easily, caught and he's not very quick,
the ball in hand type thing.
Yeah, but he's a good mark and he does his best, so I think he's getting better in that position. Obviously Wilkie, as you said, he'll go on to probably Tracy, I'd say, whoever your key forward in the best of format is at the moment, which I think is Tracy. And Miss has been a little bit touch and go at the moment. He's been in some amazing form once again. Was probably one of our better plays last week. He seems to always be that player, just knows what he's doing. He's always just in the right spot at the right time. He hasn't missed a game since his first. And then you've got the runners like Wanganeen-Miller, you got Sinclair. Stocker, probably one of the, like, he's probably our most attacking, and in terms of like players that gives 100%, he's just always at the contests. He's one of the more ferocious players down there, so he can play, halfback as well. So, I mean, you'd probably see a Stocker on maybe a Shy Bolton, probably, because he's got the pace.
Okay.
But that's just sort of guesswork. I haven't really studied too much into it, but I would think that Jimmy Webster's there as well. So, who are the other? Maybe or some will probably go on a Murphy Reid. So maybe you see Stocker on a Reid, Webster on a Bolt. Well, probably Webster's too slow for a Bolton, so you could move him around.
I feel like I remember Stocker having a really good game against Freo last time out. Bit of a tagging role. Might have even been on Bolton. Can you remember that, or am I making that up?
You might be right. But off the top of my head, I can't give you an answer to that.
I feel like I remember Stocker having a good game.
Yeah.
But, no, you've done well to sort of rattle off a few matchups there. Maybe Taru does go to like a Jai Amos type.
Yeah, you could play on him for a half, see how it goes. Maybe a miss gets on top. You could switch it around with him and like a Caminiti or someone like that. But yeah, like obviously defensively, we'll probably have like the most talent on paper, but it's just not been. There's not a lot really right now, I'd say, for the Saints.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Sometimes your system just clicks, and it does, or it did last time we played against you at Marble. I feel like for us to get up in this game, we, as cheesy as it sounds, like we just need to make it a fight. Like, I feel like last time you guys bullied us a little bit. We were a bit flat. Like, I feel like we need to come into this game with a little bit of vengeance and wanting a little bit of payback for that last loss. And I feel like if we can just come in tough and just make it a quarter-to-quarter war, we might just be able to overrun you in the end. But we'll see how it goes. Give us a prediction. How do you see the game unfolding? You'll be at the game on Sunday, and you can plug your stuff at the end. But how do you see the game unfolding?
Well, after our performance last week against the Pies, it gives me a bit of confidence that we can sort of back it up, and we haven't really been able to do that where we've actually had two pretty solid games in a row. I think the last time that I can recall probably was way back round 3 and 4 or 2 and 3 where we beat Richmond, and then we went on to follow up against Port. So this is going to be a hard matchup at Optus. Everyone's going to be, tipping Freo like strong favourites heading into this one. They're 5 on the trot, but maybe the Dockers, they could be maybe a dual loss. They weren't overly convincing against Essendon, whilst obviously they were the better side. I feel like, the quality of opposition really was, you're never going to lose that sort of game. So they've, had a couple of easy matchups in a row. Saints maybe can catch the Dockers napping at times. I don't know. I'm semi-optimistic. I actually tipped us, but just as like a sort of blind optimism. I don't normally do that, but I have a feeling that if we can do what we did last time we played the Dockers, because you guys have sort of been in pretty good form since that game, I feel like after that game and maybe the Collingwood game, your form's reversed and ours hasn't really. So I'm going to say we win, but I think most people probably expect a Freo win, and it's the Starlight game for you guys as well, so you're probably going to get up for that like you always do.
100%. Starlight is always a big round for the club, a bigger cause than footy, so that definitely does give us an extra sort of layer of motivation. We did sort of turn our season around. We went on to lose that game after the Saints at Collingwood, but it's been ever since then that we have gone on that run, and it doesn't feel like it was that long ago that we played yous. You are right in saying that we sort of haven't looked unreal. Like you don't feel like we're really unbeatable at the moment because, that Essendon side was depleted. And I said it on the podcast, but it just feels like our star players are really lifting us at the moment, like Jackson, Sarong, Brayshaw.
Jackson's in almost all Australian form at the moment, so he's someone we're going to have to really adjust. Like Marshall, I wouldn't think he's been in his best form this season compared to some others. So if he, doesn't... Well, I thought last week he just wasn't running. He wasn't keeping up to pace with the likes of Darcy Cameron. He had a big game. So if he does that again against Jackson, it's going to be, going to be a hard one, I reckon. Yeah.
Well, that game against St Kilda, I feel like that was the first time we saw Jackson and Darcy in the same side. But Jackson, obviously, I think he's the number 1 rated player in the competition over the last 6 weeks. Saw that on Fox Footy. I don't know what that means, but he's in good form is what it means. We've sort of had like good individual performances across the park. Our defense has been really solid. We haven't conceded over 70 points in the last 5 weeks. So we have got the defensive side of our game going. But I think the midfield matchup might sort of equalise. Even though I think we're better, I think you guys are going to take a lot of confidence, and Ross Lyon obviously knows tactically what to do right to keep the Saints in the game. I think the Dockers get it done, but I think it could be a bit of a close one, a bit of a slugfest.
I think it will be a slug one. Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon it's going to be like Freo pull away by like 3 goals later. I'm going to say like 73 to 91 around that area. Dockers get the win. And yeah, Andrew Brayshaw just runs amok a little bit, gets busy. Hopefully Shea Bolton gets busy as well, and Murphy Reid. We need, those star forwards and guys in the front half of the ground to break loose of that sort of Stocker, Sinclair, Hunter Clark. Yeah, it's going to be a tough game, man. I think you've got some talented players in positions where we have talented players, so it's going to be an interesting watch.
Well, hopefully a good watch for the neutrals Sunday 5:20 for the final game of the round. I mean, the players you mentioned just there, they were all quiet last time we played them, so I expect them to, have a response against the Saints because they're going to want to. And 100%. Again, for you guys, you need to win these sort of games to stay in contention, not just for 8, but maybe even for the 4 if things don't go other clubs' ways. So, yeah, look, it'll be I reckon a better game than a lot of people probably predicting if they see it on paper. I reckon hopefully we can stay in it, but knowing us, it could be we could lose by 10 goals if we completely capitulate. And one thing as well I've noticed, haven't just noticed, I've seen a stat on it. Saints are the worst side, so when we score a goal, in the next 2 minutes following, I think we've considered 24 goals this season, which is the most from any side. So that's something we've got to address because I think Freo are a pretty good side in getting, at least over the last couple of weeks, and getting quick responses and getting a run on goals quickly. They did that against North, which I saw that, and I think against Essendon they had a 6-goal streak or something like that. So need to ensure that doesn't happen.
Good stats card, man. I love it. Thanks for joining me. Enjoy your trip over to Perth. What are you getting up to over there? Because some of the challenges and stuff you've been doing recently, the live streams have been going absolutely bananas. What are you up to, young man?
Well, I'll be up to a few things. On the Saturday night, though, I haven't fully announced this yet, but I've sort of hinted at it a few times on my streams and videos. But I'll be going to the Optus Stadium, unfortunately, and doing an overnight stream. I did this in Frankston. And I didn't learn my lesson because I was like, we're not losing to West Coast, so we'll do the same thing. If we lose to West Coast, I'll go outside of Optus and do a 12-hour live stream, and that's basically what's happened. Not just that, but I'll be wearing a West Coast Guernsey, and I think
bro, that's the worst part.
I know. So it's on I don't even know where I'm getting the West Coast Guernsey from, but it's on a Saturday night. You'd think the Eagles get pumped by 100 against the Pies, and it'll be 6:30 or 6:30 for the WA viewers, and then finishing 6:30 the day after, and then I'll be at Optus Stadium. Hopefully not sleep in for the game after getting no sleep for the stream. So fingers crossed. But should be hopefully good fun. And potentially your co-host Noah might be there as well. Hopefully he gets down for it as well.
Yes, I'm sure he will be. You're committed to the content cause like no other card, man, and that's why you're at the top of your game. Thanks for joining me on the OPPO. Make sure you guys check out Cardi's channel and have a laugh with him on stream. If you see him at Optus, say good day. Thanks for joining me, Pat.
Thank you for having me, Drewzy, and may the best team win on the weekend.